In the Speed Center, we have breaking news tonight. In case you missed it, this afternoon, the NASCAR Nationwide Series opening up the 2013 season at Daytona International Speedway. A wild race that ended with a horrific crash as drivers came to the checkered flag. Regan Smith out in front of the field. Contact between he and another driver. That's Brad Keselowski. And watch behind him, the white car. Kyle Larson competing for Rookie of the Year honors into the catch fence. Now, as far as we know, all drivers in the accident were okay. Our concern with the fans. You see the remains of Kyle Larson's race car as he climbs out, and this will help you understand why the car was damaged so severely. There he goes, catapulted into the catch fence. The engine from his race car and one of the front tires embedded in the fence. Here you see the tire and the engine. The other tire on the front end of his car catapulted, it appeared, up over the catch fence and into the grandstand. It was a very scary moment. We do know that medical responders were on the scene and working with different race fans in the stands. No reports at this stage of their condition. Let's go live to the track and welcome in Kyle Petty, one of our analysts here on Speed. And Kyle, you've seen the pictures. You obviously know the situation. What's your reaction?
You know, I think your reaction is shock right now because we really don't know a lot about it. As you said, it appears that all the drivers that have walked away, and that is a huge sigh of relief, I think, after watching that footage. But all the fans have not walked away. We've seen the Daytona Beach or the Daytona International Speedway rescue crew do a tremendous job. They were right there to work with the fans, no matter what section they were in. It's amazing how far the debris field has spread. It's in the upper deck. It's in the second deck up, which literally is 5 or 6 stories up off the ground from the racetrack. You know, it's so widespread. I'm not sure that anybody knows exactly what's going on. It's too early to report, too early to speculate, and we shouldn't. But for the fans, this is a sad day. You come as a spectator, but when you're brought into the field of play and things like this happen, it's very tragic.
NASCAR and the racetracks themselves placed in a very difficult situation, Kyle, because they do everything they can to ensure the safety both of the drivers and all the competitors, those up and down along the pit lane, their officials, and certainly those in the grandstand. But when you put cars on track at 190 miles an hour, running in close quarters like they were today at Daytona, accidents do happen, and certainly today one of those. Some things cannot be prevented.
No, things cannot be prevented. You know, we can go back, and if you guys watched earlier this week the special on my father, Richard Petty, A Racer's Life. In 1965, his car broke. A wheel went up in the stands and killed a young man. And he's had to live with that the rest of his life. That brought a fan in the play. And no matter what these racetracks do at this point in time, I'm not saying that tracks can't do better, because we constantly, and they constantly move the ball and improve with the softer walls, with the higher fences, with the cables. We've seen improvement at racetracks year after year to make it safer for the competitors, but to also make it safer for the fans. And I think when we do and we move that ball and we move that needle just a little bit, then somehow fate ends up finding a weak link in that. And I think that's what happened today. Nobody is at fault in this. I don't think you can say the competitors are. I don't think you can say the racetrack is. Nobody. This is truly a tragic accident.
Kyle, you brought up the story involving your father when a fan was killed at the racetrack. And I think about the drivers involved in today's race. I've been following them on Twitter. We listened to some of the post-race interviews, and each one of them said, our thoughts and prayers to everyone in the grandstand. None of them should be put in harm's way when we're out racing. But from a driver's perspective, how difficult is it psychologically to refocus? Because many of these drivers will be back on track tomorrow. How do you gather yourself and go on knowing that a bad accident happened today?
And that's an excellent question, and I don't know how. I was a young boy when it happened to my father, and my mother has talked about it and talked about how he just went through periods of depression, basically, of being incredibly quiet and just sitting and wanting to be alone. I remember when my uncle was killed on pit road, he went through the same thing. And for me, when Adam was killed in a racing accident on the racetrack, it's tough to find that place for it, and it's tough to go on. It's tough to go back to the racetrack. It's tough to be a competitor. And as a driver in those cars, when something like this happens, You know, you live with that every day of your life as a driver. You live with it every day, but you think about the things that go on the racetrack. You look at the fans as the adoring fans they are. They pull for you on the racetrack. They cheer for you. They idolize you. And when something like this happens, it totally changes the way you look at fans and the way you look at everything else. And I think each individual will deal with it in their own way, but it's going to be with these guys for the rest of their life, because it's something that they'll carry with them. They were part of that accident, and they hurt some fans. And it's not their fault. It is not the driver's fault, and it's not the racetrack's fault, but it's something that happens, and it's a tough thing to deal with.
Kyle, we certainly appreciate your insight and perspective. Hang tight. We'll be coming back to you in a bit. And if you're just joining us late on this Saturday afternoon, we have breaking news. This afternoon, the Nationwide Series racing at Daytona in their season opener. Final lap, a horrific crash. Regan Smith turned out in front of the field, but behind him, watch the white car hitting the wall there, getting turned up into the catch fence. That's young rookie Kyle Larson. His engine and one of his front tires embedded in the catch fence. Another tire went soaring. It appeared it got over the catch fence. We continue to analyze this video. And now we head back to the track and welcome in once again Bob Dillner. Bob, you've been following the activities there, and